welcome back to a glorious episode of Parental podcast. I'm your host, Dmitri, and this is my co-host.
I'm Marcus. My light
And
fell
hey, technical difficulties on every podcast, but hey,
off. Technical
uh,
difficulties.
that's why the Square on Table podcast, we roll with the punches, all right? But welcome to the podcast, our freaks and geeks. If you like our content, get to the notification bell so you get notified of this video and future videos. And also to thank everybody who showed up for our last podcast, our Black History Month podcast. That was a great amount of love sent to that. And our shorts, you guys are really out here doing great stuff for us. You know, we appreciate you guys.
We definitely do. Okay,
But
there we go.
hey, gotta like things. But today, if you can't tell from our shirts, we're here to talk about Sonic.
Yes, sir. The fastest little
The
blue
fastest,
hedgehog ever.
right? Exactly, the fastest creature alive, they say, right? And so recently, with the release of Sonic 3 being able to be on streaming platforms, we were able to check it out finally.
Because we don't always have the time to go to the movie.
Or the financial, to find the money.
Being an adult is not easy, okay?
But no problem, get in the way.
Yes.
But today we're going to just talk about the entirety of Sonic, and from 1, 2, and 3, and tell you if we think this is one of the best video game franchises, or if we think it's in a contender for the best video game franchise or series. Because there's a lot of video games movies out there, and we're going to talk about this one because, let's say, Sonic 3, in my opinion, it's my favorite of the three. Like, I'm just going to put it out there right now. It's my favorite of the three.
Two was really good, but 3.
Yeah, before 3 came out, 2 was my favorite.
Yeah.
So it's progressively getting better. Sonic was good. Not saying Sonic wasn't great when it came out because it was amazing.
But it did. It does what a movie's supposed to do. Like, it gets better each film.
It gets better
like,
at each
most
film.
of the time it's this one was okay, but this one was it just got better. Like, it wasn't, none of them were bad. But I do want to ask you this before we hop right into it, since we're talking about video game movies. So it's a two-part question.
Okay.
Pertaining to the video game series and then like Sonic. First question. What is the earliest video game movie you remember seeing? And was it good? Was it good? Bad? What was your experience? I feel like we're gonna have the same one. If not the same one, the years are gonna be close.
We might, because look. Okay. Don't hate on me in the comments, but my first video game experience was a Mario movie. Okay. Yeah.
I had to ask because I was like, I feel like it's the same movie, but I know for some people around our age, they genuinely didn't see that movie.
Yeah.
And they don't know it exists. But because of HBO and whatever channels like my grandmother had, the movie channels, that's how I saw it.
Yeah, I got to see it. I forget where I was when I saw it, but I remember seeing it on TV when I was like young.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I was experiencing. Because the Mario movies, you know what I was going to say.
It said Super Mario Brothers, and I was so confused because I was like, the only thing Super Mario about this is that the names of the people. Nothing
else. It was so.
I was so confused, like the whole fact that they was like in actual like Brooklyn, and then they went underground, and it was like the fungi and Princess Peach was like. I was like, dude. And then Yoshi was like a dinosaur, a mini T-Rex, and then Browser was a man, but he really was a dinosaur. And the whole thing about dinosaurs, then they evolved and they lived underground, so they didn't go extinct and all that. I was like, bro, y'all, I think y'all thinking too deep. You know, it has become a cult classic.
It's become a cult classic, but it ain't my favorite video game movie.
Yeah.
Okay?
I
won't touch it again.
And it's at the bottom of the list.
And actually, we got some more content, video game related content coming on the way. So look out for that.
Definitely. Yeah. So second question is, what was your first experience with Sonic as a whole? It could be books, games, TV shows, whatever it was. What was your very earliest experience with Sonic?
It was the one with this on it. I think this is from because I remember playing it on. I used to go to my friend down the street or a neighbor. We went to school together. He had Sonic. I think it was like Sonic Mania or something like that. Whatever the one in the '90s was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd go down to his house and we'd play it like late night. And we just on the I think it was on the Sega. Yeah, it was on the Sega.
Yeah.
And we'd play it, and that was my first experience with Sonic, and it was an instant hit for me.
Yeah.
I consumed everything Sonic after that. It's a wrap.
And it's so crazy because it's like when you think back on it, you was like, why did this just really click? And I think it was because our parents and like our older cousins and relatives and stuff had like Super Mario. And I remember Nintendo was like the family friendly console. But then when Sega came out, it was like, no, this for the teenagers, the rebellion kind of system. Cause like they had all the mature games. Like they had that Wolverine game that was like cool as hell. So for Sonic to be their mascot up against Mario, he's way cooler because like he's fast.
Yeah.
You know, then the levels are fast paced, like in Super Mario, it's like a little slower. So for kids, we try to get to it. So the fact that you're just rushing through, and then the design, like even the design of how it looked, it wasn't like the pixels. Like it was pixels, but it wasn't like it didn't look like he was made from blocks like Super Mario in the beginning. So like how he looked, he had the whole like swagger, the '90s, and the music. And the fact that they said Michael Jackson worked on the soundtrack, I learned that when I got older, and I was like, I get why it clicked with us early on because it defined like what the '90s was transitioning into video games. And just for our viewers out there, I got some nostalgia for y'all.
All right, show us the stuff.
So when I got my Sega Genesis when I was a kid, the very first game that I ever got, and I still have it to this day.
Hey, let's go.
And it's not just the box, y'all, because I know folks be saying, "Oh, he just got the box." Nah, I still got the game. The only reason I don't have the booklet is because, of course, this game came out in the '90s.
Man,
that booklet was not gonna survive
so cool.
as kids because when we was kids, we used to take them things out and just like go ham on them. So yeah, man, original packing.
That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. All right, that's top 10.
And it's crazy because when this came out a year after I was born, but back then they still like they do now. They had games from years ago. So when I got my Sega, when my dad when they gave it to us and I could actually play it, they got me this game because I seen it and I was like I saw it in the stores when we were going like Walmart and stuff. Back when they used to have video games, you could play them. I was like, can I have it? And I got it for Christmas. So I've held on to this for my entire life. I would never let it go. I don't care if it comes up and it's worth $1 million. Like I would never.
It's staying in the family. Yeah. It's staying in the family. There's no way.
Now I just got to get another Genesis now because the one I had from when I was a kid, it took a little damage, so I had to throw it out. So that was like when I was in high school, but definitely this will be passed down. Great way to start off the podcast. I had to get the viewers in.
Coolest thing I've ever one of the coolest things I've ever seen, man. That is cool. Man, I wish I had that. I wish I had it in the original packaging or like a first edition kind of type stuff. Man, I'm jealous now. You done stunted on me too much.
Hey man, it's only Dmitri is only because I got you by a few years in the '90s. That's the only reason why, bro. I literally got you by a couple of years. So I think that's the only reason why.
Yeah, and it's okay. Here's the thing: when I come visit you, we gotta run it. You gotta run that game.
I know, right? That's why I gotta get the Genesis back, so we can just run a Sonic and Tails little run through real quick.
I'm down. I'm committed. Because I would say because when it comes to my first game, I didn't really play. Like I played that one, but I didn't own it. Like go and play with them. And we didn't really have a lot of money for different systems at the time. And I got to, or it wasn't until I got a Game Boy Advance when I played. I forget what the port was, but it was one of the Sonic. I think it was Sonic Adventure or something. Yeah. And I played, I think, the first two on there, and you couldn't take me off of them. I
Yeah.
played those things backwards
That's
and
how I was.
forwards, man.
I played that darn game till I couldn't play no more. And I had other games, like I had a Batman game, the Wolverine game, and that hard Lion King game. But I played that. I probably played that more than I played anything. So,
Yeah, you got that Lion King trauma.
bro, I still got that one. But you asked me, I tried to play it like at a
Mm-mm.
con, like what was it, MomoCon? I tried to play it, and I was like going through the motions, and I was like, "Yep, it's still hard to this day." 30 years later, and that game is
30.
still one of the most difficult games I've ever played in my life.
No, it is. It really is. I remember playing it, but not around the time that everybody was playing it. But when I got older, I was like, "Oh, what's it about?" And I tried playing it, and when I tell you,
Stressful,
I put whatever, I put it down. I was like, "I am done.
stressful,
I'm good. Like I don't need to beat that."
stressful.
But
Yeah,
whew,
man. Yeah. So,
but
like I
great way to
said,
get
great way to
progress
get
for
it
sure.
started. So Dimitri said we here to review a franchise that has been around now for 30 plus years.
Mm, so many
Multiple,
iterations.
yeah, multiple animated series. Of course, as you see,
Ooh.
video games, manga,
Comic,
anime,
yeah, comic. They had an
yeah,
Archie run, and they
comics,
had
yeah.
a Fleetway
What was it?
run, and there's another one.
Was it Image or Boom? Who got it after that? It wasn't Image. I
Because
forgot
they're
who was the last people to get it. I know DC is doing a thing recent,
yeah, they're
like
doing
right now.
something now. But I know there was a Archie, and then there was I think there before that one was a not
Yeah,
Fleetway or something like that, where they
yeah,
took the character in a whole different thing. I learned about the Fleetway, I think is what the company's called today, because I didn't even know that existed. But I
yeah.
knew about the
So
Archie comics because
yeah,
Archie
I
that
remember the Archer
yeah
comics. Yeah,
Archie comics was legit.
yeah.
But
Man, like I said, a property that's been around for a long time, basically our whole lives. It's another one of those situations like how we talk about where it's something that we didn't get until we became adults. It's cool, but man, it would have been like even cooler if we would have had it as kids. But it's very enjoyable now because it's like people be talking about, oh, you gonna go see a kids movie? Hell yeah, like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
Sonic.
yeah, it's Sonic. Listen, look, I
they
don't care
they
how
don't
old I
make
am.
these movies for kids, just so y'all know. Like the
The
audience is the
property,
children,
yeah.
but they know who gonna pay the money to
They
go
know who's
see
gonna
these
go see
movies.
them. Yeah, they know
Yeah.
who grew up with the property. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care if I'm 80 years old and I can't listen to it. They got a Sonic X
Look, a
something
Sonic
something,
50, I'm
right?
gonna go see it.
I'm in the walker coming into the theater, putting my money in. I'm gonna sit down and, and watch that movie.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So definitely, it's very cool that we get to have this moment, this full circle moment, and talk about good, a good video game adaptation, yeah, and properties, series. 3 movies in, so apparently something's going right. And Heather says, Albana says it's a trilogy. So, Demetrius, as a whole, do you see? Do you think like it's accomplished what a video game movie should be like? Especially, I'll say it like this: when it comes to a character like Sonic, who's in the
hmm
recent years in video games have like more interactions with like humans and stuff. It's not so more so like it's all in just like his world. They
yeah,
kind of brought him into the real world, so like to get that to work, because which could be very hard. I think what helped it is the Detective Pikachu movie, which got a reference in Sonic 3.
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah, it
Yeah,
did. I remember that.
yeah. I think that helped it. And also, when the fans, which was basically our people, our age, voiced their opinion about how it looked at first when it came out in the first movie.
Oh yeah,
I think the
yeah.
clash of those two things like really helped it like kick off the right way, because it was like we got the blueprint for the whole like human video game character interaction thing.
How
Out the gate, it worked. And
it
then I think
did.
Jim Carrey, I gotta say that Jim Carrey.
He
If
did great.
I don't think they could have cast anybody else to play Eggman other than
Yeah,
Jim Carrey.
I agree.
So I think that really was like a game changer too, because that's a character like you really gotta put like
You got
your
you
all
got to
into
put
it, because
all into it. Yeah,
he's
he's
very
just
colorful. He's a very colorful character.
he definitely is. So I think that Sonic as what we have now, the trilogy, because they're setting up, spoiler alert, but if you're here, you already know about this. They're setting
Mm-hmm.
up a fourth one right now. Like they've
Yeah,
already like
definitely,
teased a fourth one.
definitely.
Um
Especially with that, with those end credits.
yeah, in credits, yeah. I think that Sonic One did a really good job of setting up, like you said, setting up the universe, setting up everything that we need to, and did a good job as setting Sonic ahead of all of the other adaptations that came out before it. And I'd even
Mm-hmm.
say that I think the Sonic franchise is doing a lot better than the Mario movies as of right now. Even if we're
Yeah,
comparing one to one, not all the ones, not two, three, just Sonic one and Mario, the first one. I'm sure they're gonna do a second one or something like that because
yeah. It's
money.
actually
That's
coming out
money,
next year. Yeah, it's
you
coming
know.
out next
Yeah.
year. Yeah, so
Um. So because Sonic and Mario are two big franchises, and I'm going to do this and then I'm going to go back. They're two big franchises that are very important to two big brands. So there's a lot of money in both these things. But I
mm-hmm.
think what Sonic does better is just how they introduce their characters. It's a little bit
Yeah,
better,
yeah.
you know. And I think that sets it apart. I think that their casting is another thing that sets Sonic up as a
Mm-hmm.
home hitter because you had, I don't remember the guy's name, but he was the guy from Parks and Rec as Sonic. And then you
Yeah,
had,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then you had Idris Elba as Knuckles, and now you have Keanu Reeves
Perfect.
as Shadow. And I forget the actress who plays. He
I'm
does an amazing job too.
yeah, man. Idris is Knuckles.
I like that
It's like
he gets too carried
it's.
away.
I'm gonna tell you who I compared that casting to. You didn't think it would work, but it did. It's
Yeah,
just like Dave Batista.
yeah,
You
yes.
wouldn't think somebody like an actor or a personality like that would actually play that character. And then Batista said with Drax, they said Idris enjoys doing it. They said he loved it the whole
He
time.
had
Like
the
he come
gloves
in,
on,
yeah,
boots. He had
like
those
he's
big,
all
the knuckles
in.
gloves on.
And
Yeah.
bro, I'm just like, yes, bro, yes.
I think those two set it up, but also I think the character, like the person who has been making and directing a lot of these things, he worked on, or the one who directed the third one, and I think he had input on the other ones. He was someone who worked on the Shadow game.
Mm.
We knew that Shadow's lore was going to be to the
Gonna
T. They
all be
changed a
all
little,
through there.
yeah, they changed the little things, but that's what I like. I think that's really good about this franchise is that everybody cares about the importance of the material that is being
Yeah,
laid out.
they definitely taking consideration of the lore, like
Mm-hmm.
from the video games, comics, all of this stuff. Cause
There's
like
a lot of little nods to everything.
even with Sonic in the first one, like his whole like background, where he
Mm-hmm.
came from, and then I love what they did with the rings. You know
Yeah,
how they, I love that
I love
because
that.
I was wondering how they was going to incorporate the rings and make it make sense. Because it's like he collects them, and it's so what is he gonna do with them, and then put it in the real world. So I was like, yes, that's so
A
do it.
great way to do it. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of the because I was watching this video about the behind the scenes, and the director really wanted to make the places not so look like they're video game aspects, but in the real world. So like finding
Mm-hmm.
places that look similar to Green Hills or what Green Hills would people who would live in that place would look how it would look.
Mm-hmm.
And the place where the emerald was held in the second one, how that
Mm-hmm.
looked, and making those things lifelike and believable. And I think that helps out. I think that really does a great job. So where you can go, oh, that's in a video game, but like I can see someone living in a Green Hills version of this town.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of things. It's just more or less what I think any video game franchise needs to survive and be great. It's just people that love the material, people that love everything about it, people that are working hard to maintain that. And a lot of video game franchises that came before Sonic, they don't like the Mario movie. Didn't do it so much so that we like it was a breath of fresh air to see the newer Mario movie.
Yeah, it was,
So
and
stuff like that.
the fact that they stuck, it was crazy because they kind of showed the first one, hey, this is what you should have did if you was gonna do a Super Mario, because in that movie, Mario and Luigi are in an actual like real world setting, like they really plumbers, they got a family, and then they're transported into was it the Mushroom Kingdom,
Yeah,
how
I
they
think
meet
so. Yeah.
everybody. So it's like they transitioned into that world. So I'm like, okay, that's cool because they didn't make it seem like this is where they live. They know about it. No, they didn't know anything about it. So like you said, it sets that up. And even with the next one that's coming out, they're gonna introduce like Yoshi, and I think that works as like a fully 3D animated film. Like that
Yeah,
works perfectly. Stuff like that. Like I even said, if they did Legend of Zelda, which I think they are doing now, I
I
would
think
rather
so.
see it. I would rather see it like that than try to do like live action. Because
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda is such a like zonky, like sometimes it's zonky, sometimes it's dark, it's fairy tale fantasy and all that. And you can't really do live action with it without getting like too like real and dark sometimes.
Hmm.
Because that's what they probably would turn it into. So I think it would work better like an animation, doing like just telling that whole story full fledged animation style.
I agree. I think like what am I gonna say? I think what really helped out Sonic, and I think you already mentioned this, but I think it's that redesign. That first
Hmm
redesign is what set everybody like,
I
okay, we're
still remember
committed
that
to it.
trailer.
I do too, and I was just like,
Ah,
oh, it's hard to look at. Like,
I said, I was like, no, no, this can't be, bro. I was so distraught because I was so happy there was like a Sonic movie coming, and then I seen it. I was like, oh snap! And then even remember they gave him like Pumas, like some red Pumas to
yeah,
wear, and I was just
yeah.
like, but then when they
Oh,
did that redesign, oh boy, they got
I was
everybody
in
back
it.
on
I was
board.
hooked. I was in. I was there. So how do you think they've done when it comes to implementing a lot of the move sets that characters have, like the spin dash and like a lot of shadows powers and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Knuckles, I think flaming fists of destiny or some or destroyer or
Yeah. Then
something like
they got
that.
his strength in there too. They made sure
So
that and then Tails with his like intellect. You know.
exactly, and making all these things. So how do you think they've implemented like those attack moves and stuff like that? Do you think they've done a great job? Because in Sonic 3, they've included more of his like dashing.
The way like they gradually like showed it improved, they did good
Hmm.
because it was like, because technically in the first film, Sonic is still like really learning what he can do with his
Yeah.
powers and his speed. So it's just because he's really young. Like people don't realize in the first movie, like he's probably like what a teenager. I think he's supposed to be.
I think so. I don't like he.
Yeah, I can't
I
remember. I
think
don't know
so.
the exact. Yeah, I don't know the exact
I don't
age,
know
but
that age.
we know he was when they first showed him. He was like really young. He's not that old, so he's developing his powers. And I like how like each movie, like it showed the potential. Even in the second one, when he got the emerald and he went to
Hmm.
Super Sonic, he was still like, I can't control this power, so I can't keep using it like that because it might drive me insane. Which is a callback to something
To
you sent
that,
me earlier to
yeah,
Insane Sonic that I had never heard of that version of Sonic before.
yeah. That's from the Fleetway comics where it like
Yeah, it
made
is
him
like a
insane.
version of Sonic where if he uses it for too long, it drove him insane. So I was like, they looking at the material. So with
Yeah,
that, like in that second one, then in the third one, it's like he knows what his abilities are, and like even though he pushes himself, it's not like just doing it out of blindness or
yeah.
immaturity. I know what I can do. And then you even see
Hmm.
like the teamwork with them, like they more of a team now. Even when they like when he went away from him, he was like, yeah, we should do it this way next time. So it's like the characters are learning, and then I
Yeah,
just love Knuckles. How he still don't understand like little simple like phrases like break glass in case it's needed. And he was like,
yeah.
so when is it time? And I was
Like,
like,
when is the time to break the glass? And I'm just like, yes. Or when
like
he was like,
Knuckles be having me on the floor, man.
he really do. Or when he was like, he was in the air carrier and he was telling about his strength, and they
Mm.
literally said it with him. It's good. You've been listening. And I was
So
like,
yeah,
this man's
man.
a clown. I
I
love
think they
Knuckles.
handle I think they handle all the powers really good, even when introducing like Shadow.
Hmm.
I think it's like he can bend reality or something with his powers because
Yeah,
like, he was genetic. They did a lot of tests on him and stuff.
yeah. He has a lot of chaos energy,
Mm-hmm,
and those things
mm-hmm,
on his arm limit or make him regulate them enough to where he's able to do things. Because he took them off at the end of the movie to be able to do full power. But I
mm-hmm.
like the one thing I liked is how they tied in Sonic to Knuckles. Like that scene where I call him Donut Lord because I always forget his name. Donut Lord was like, you didn't forget what made you didn't let that pain change you in here. And then it flipped right to Knuckles because he was saying, I wonder how it would be if you didn't have that. And it flipped right to Knuckles walking through Tokyo. That was such a good transition to show us what, to pretty much drive that point in that Knuckles is an entirely different person because he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that thing. He doesn't have Maria because Maria, she died.
Yeah. You mean Shadow or Knuckles?
Sorry, Shadow. I meant to say Shadow.
He said Maria. I was like, oh, he talking about Shadow. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I meant Shadow, but I might have said Knuckles because I like I say Knuckles is one of my favorite characters, and Shadow is too. But like I like talking about Knuckles. But Shadow, I love that switch between Sonic to Shadow, like where it even gets a darker melody, the music gets more darker, the rain is coming down, and he's walking through it, mad at the world and stuff, and you're just like, man, okay. That brings this point home, and it comes all the way back full circle when Sonic loses control of himself and gets angry because Tom, that's his name, Tom, he thinks he died. And Shadow was pretty much saying, you know how I feel. And I feel bad for Shadow just because he had to deal with that station for 50 years thinking about that death. And that's why I'm glad.
That's heavy. That's some heavy stuff, man.
It really is. And I'm glad Sonic was able to, one, reach him, but two, to help him understand that, this ain't the way. You got to remember the good things and the good moments and stuff like that. And he remembered that line she told him, a light shines even though it's gone. Like that was a really good thing to remember. Is you remember the light, the good things, the thing that person did good in your life, not the reason that they're gone. So it was really good. It was hit. I was like, this is a kids movie, but they hitting hard right here.
Nah, for real, they was getting to it. Like it was getting real tough. So I just like how they just stuck to a lot of the original stories and stuff. I really did enjoy that. And like you said with Tom and then his wife, I think they work really good as that parental guidance and showing them the responsibilities, make great choices. Like people will probably say, "Oh, that's such a corny line," or "It's so cliche," but that's really something you would say to kids.
That's what you would say a parent would say to their kids is make good choices.
Make
you
good
want
choices.
You want the best for them.
I know my mom told me plenty of times.
100%. My mom told me so many times.
And I probably didn't listen half the time, but hey, at least you did it.
Right? I don't know. It's just I like how much this movie reminded me of Dragon Ball Z. It was painstakingly, not painstakingly, but it was so obvious that Goku versus Vegeta was what we were watching here.
Oh yeah, with Shadow and Sonic. Definitely.
Yeah, when they went Shadow, Super Sonic and stuff.
Yeah, enemies turn to allies and stuff. Of course, down the line, Sonic ends up becoming an ally of Sonic, and they have their little moments where they help each other out.
Oh, Shadow.
Yeah, Shadow becomes an ally. Hey, late night podcast, man.
Right, late night podcast. That's what we do.
Yeah, they become allies. And Shadow is still he's still that loner as he has his little thing. He does his spill, but I'm excited to see in the next one what they're gonna do with was it Mecha Sonic?
I think it said
Metal Sonic.
Yeah,
I forget what they call it. Metal Mecha, whatever. Metal Sonic, and then
there's a difference, but the one with the thing right here is Metal Sonic. That's how I always tell the difference. Yeah. But I don't know. They could do that if they're talking about comics. They could do the one I wrote it down because in the comics there is a storyline where there are an army of Metal Sonics and there's one overlord. I think it's called Emperor Metal Metallics or something like that.
Yeah, it is. I remember that. I think they did that in the games too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one too much, but I did. But from that video I watched, I was able to find that one out because I did remember seeing you the video of different forms and stuff like that, and they might do that, which would be cool. Or they might do. So I was watching this other video, and there was leaked image of like Eggman and like a Metal Sonic in royal attire or something like that they were releasing an
Yeah.
image from. Don't know if it's real or not, but I think they said it was concept art. And I don't think here's the thing. I think we've lost a Eggman, but we haven't lost the Eggman. I think there's another one hanging out because he did talk
Definitely.
about cloning in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about cloning Doctor Agent Stone. So
Yeah.
that made me go, oh no, Jim
He
Carrey will be
probably
back
has
in
a
another one.
backup. Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think Jim Carrey will come back. It's gonna
And
be
what do
like
you
I don't
think?
know.
What do you think Amy's role is going to be in this universe? Because she came to save him, but like, where do you think that she's going to fit in the
Well,
next movie?
I know they always like play around like that's like his love interest and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it'll hit right off. I think they're gonna play on like the whole he sees somebody and he have a little crush, but it won't like instantly click. It'll probably be
Yeah.
like another movie. So I think she'll become like an ally and be like doing her own thing a little bit, but it
Okay.
will help him out because she's definitely gonna be linked to whoever's behind
The
the
Metal
robots.
Sonics.
Yeah, the Metal Sonics. The fact that she came and knew I took him out and stuff, and they gave
Which,
her. I thought it was dope that they gave her hammer too. That was dope.
oh yeah, that was dope. I think her
Yeah,
fit was cool too, like her like hooded
yeah.
fit.
The
Like I
cloak,
was like, that's
the hooded
cool.
cloak. Yeah, that was dope.
It's back. I don't know what happened there, but
Oh,
yeah, I'm
okay,
back
I
on
was gonna
here.
say no.
So let's try to get through this and wrap up because I don't know if it's gonna
Yeah,
blow out again.
yeah,
But yeah, you said that she was gonna be a part of the Mechasonics, right?
yeah. I
Or
think
are gonna be
she
in that
gonna be
storyline.
linked. Yeah, she's gonna be linked to whatever who's ever behind that, and she's probably gonna have the information that they need. Because
Yeah, it's
I
probably.
think I think it's gonna be an army of those, like
Yeah, I
whatever.
think so.
Yeah.
Just because of how easy she took him out.
Mhm.
Because you, like I said, I usually think it's Metal Sonic got you taken out by Sonic most times when they're it's always just one. In
Yeah.
most storylines, and it's usually a tough one to take out. It's not like a hammer to them and they blow up. So I'm thinking
Yeah. Like
there's
she went through them like really fast.
yeah, she really did, and like I said, so I'm thinking more on the plot line that there's going to be one central thing. Like I'm considering this on the sense of Ultron level stuff, where there's one
Mhm.
main
Yeah.
Ultron or one main Metal
That's a great
Sonic,
comparison.
and then every
Yeah.
single other one is like a lesser version of him. He's just
Mhm.
overwhelmingly to overwhelm the group. But I think Knuckles is gonna have a field day if it's just an army of them. He's gonna have a field day. My boy's gonna go off. He's gonna get a
I was
high
like,
kill streak.
Knuckles gonna enjoy that. He definitely gonna enjoy that.
He's gonna enjoy all of that. I think I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see. I didn't think I would see Metal Sonic, and I didn't get spoiled before watching this, so it was a shock to me to even see both of those characters because somehow we both escaped
Yeah.
the spoilers and
Yeah. I don't know
didn't.
how I missed that one, but I'm glad I did.
I think that this franchise is in a good foot. I think that Sonic 4 is going to be great. I think if they do Sonic 5, it'll be great. I think if they keep going on this space, it's going to be a great franchise. And I think that Jim Carrey will come back in some capacity. He'll be back in some way just because
Mhm.
he literally likes coming back. He literally likes this franchise. He came out of retirement again
I would say he came out of retirement to do it. So
to do Sonic 3. So I think it's going to be good. And I think that we hopefully will see Shadow in the next one. I think we will, honestly.
yeah.
But I think that, like I said, I think they did his backstory great. I think that they've done every character's backstory great so far and how they introduced them. And I think that the music choices were great. A lot of nods to the video games
Mhm.
that were in there. And I think this is an example of how you should do a video game franchise.
I
A great
agree.
example of how you should do a video game franchise and stuff like that. Do you think that I have one last question? I have two questions maybe. Do you think
Okay.
that we'll get to see Hypersonic at any point in time? Do you think they're gonna release that guy again? Because we've only
Mm,
seen him I think maybe one time in the span of his appearances,
I think they might. It's a possibility because we got the supersonic.
or they might do
Uh,
Supersonic too.
yeah, I know, right? This is. By the way, it is a known fact that they was inspired by Dragon Ball Z. This is not like a thing was like, oh, we didn't know it existed. They
No, that it
literally
was
knew
it.
what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. They knew
So,
what was up.
yep, I think it could be a possibility. I feel like if we do a franchise, if it becomes a franchise, I think 6 movies, a trilogy, 2 trilogies basically. I think it'll be good.
Okay.
That'll wrap up
You
everything.
think that Do you think that they should continue to do more than six, or you think they should just end it at six?
I think six is a good number.
Do you want to see more things like the Knuckles show, like maybe a Shadow show or a Knuckles
Yeah, that's
season
what I was saying.
two,
Yeah, do some
or a
things like
Tails
that.
show? Do you want to see different characters get their own show to introduce them?
Yeah,
More akin to what Marvel has attempted to do with their cinematic universe, where they've brought in characters like Miss Marvel and Daredevil and all these different characters outside of the cinematic universe, and then brought them in later
yeah.
on. Um, okay, so I mean, I agree with that too. And did you like the progression of Doctor Eggman? Because I know that's a hard thing for a lot of fans. They didn't really like how he was introduced and stuff like that. And
I didn't have a problem with him. 'Cause, I mean, the first
yeah,
one, I guess they was mad because he had the nice hair and stuff, but he gradually became the character. Like he even got the video game accurate costume in the third movie. So I
I
think it works. Cause it's like we said, it's really not much you can do with that video game. The stuff that happened in the games and all that, it's not much you can do with it in live action. So like it's played by an actual human being. It
yeah,
one of the
you got to
funniest
do as
guys
best as you
ever
can.
brought it to life. So I was okay with it. I think the first one was so how's that gonna be? Like you questioned it,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
this but when they showed what happened to him and where he how he got stuck in that world and stuff, and the second film came, and I was like, okay, I see how it's gonna happen. And then in the third one, boom, the look and everything. So I everybody got to pick and choose, but I think overall it's a great so far. It's a great trilogy, a franchise as video games. It's definitely setting the bar for what comes behind it. As far as like that property, when I say that property, I mean like characters who are not something that happens in the real world. It's like a fantasy or from a different planet. Like that, it's setting the bar for those type of video game movies. So as far as like other video game movies, like we've talked about it before, stuff like when it comes to like Uncharted, Tomb Raider, God of War, stuff like that. It hasn't. It's really nothing. The Last of Us right now is the one that's setting the bar. So I would say Sonic is setting the bar for those type of characters.
Okay,
So
yeah, I can agree.
it's showing that hey, it can be successful if you follow in these guidelines a little bit, or if you find that niche where you can make the characters relatable. And then of
Hmm.
course of course too a marketing thing. Those toys are gonna sell, game product, whatever. So yeah, I definitely think it's setting the bar, and I think that's why the Mario movie, Super Mario Brother movie works because it's kind of
Yeah.
coming after Sonic. So it's definitely setting the bar. So I think in the coming years we'll definitely see, that those it'll gradually get better as far as that is. So for the other kind of like medium that I just said, we holding on, holding
Hmm.
our breaths because we get some good ones and then it's so
There's a dud.
yeah. Sonic is definitely setting the bar as far as like box office and films and stuff because The Last of Us is a
Yeah,
show, so it's still we still haven't gotten that like movie so far as Sonic. So I
yeah.
definitely
I
think
will say one
it's up
thing.
there.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, it
I think
definitely
it's
is.
yeah.
I was just gonna say before we move on, Sonic 3 beat Mufasa at the box office. That's all got to be said. It beat a
Mm-hmm.
Lion King movie. That's a
Live
feat.
action Disney, big money movie.
Big money.
So
They chucked money at it, and Sonic 3 was like, I don't care.
mic
Like
drop.
exactly. So at the end of the day, if you do a good adaptation, you can beat a staple that people put their money into. Did a Lion King movie, which nobody asked for, but that's for a whole nother podcast. Oh no, we talked about that podcast
I'll
on
say we did.
on
I'll say
yeah.
we
Check
did.
out that podcast about Why
action
live actions
adaptations.
don't why live action adaptations don't stack up to the animated ones. You can check that one out. It's just great. It's a great podcast. Still good. But yeah, with that being said, what do you rate the franchise as a whole? Like the not the franchise, sorry, the series as a whole, the video game movies as a whole.
The Sonic
So
as a
one, two,
whole,
three. So one, two, and three all as a whole.
I give it a solid like 7.58, somewhere in that
Oh,
range.
okay.
Like 8.
Really?
I give it like it's in that range.
Really? Okay. I need to
Yeah.
because I rated a little bit higher. Sonic 3 to put it for me.
Yeah, I'll say an 8, but it's like it could be a 7.5, could be an 8. But it's only because it's still growing. But 3 definitely 3 definitely will give it. I think it'll give me that 8. So I'll leave it right at an 8.
Okay. I'm gonna
As
say
a
8
whole,
as a whole. Okay.
yeah,
I'm gonna say 8.5 just because that 3 knocked it over because it was
yeah,
sitting for me. It was sitting at least a 7 already because
mm,
Sonic 1 was great and Sonic 2 was great and they were they weren't perfect movies but they were great.
yeah,
Okay. And then Sonic 3 came in and just smashed everything. And I was like, yeah, that's 8.5 for me. I said it with
yeah,
confidence after I watched Sonic 3. I was like, 8 point, like Sonic 3
yeah.
alone was 8.5 for me. So
I
I
give it
love
a
that movie.
strong
So
8.
I love that movie so much. I watched it twice. That's how much I love that movie.
No,
I
no,
watched
it
it.
was good.
I watched it once and then I said, nah, I gotta go see that movie. I gotta see it again. Because I had to rent it for 2 days and I was like, let me
Look,
maximize these days
he's
out.
like, man, let me get my money's worth.
They said I had 2 hours to watch it. I said, all right, cool. Beat it, got through it in with 21 minutes left on the rental rental spare. I was dedicated, okay?
Man,
Super
yeah,
dedicated.
it's a good solid movie
No,
as
look,
a
you saying it's
franchise
an
as a
eight is
whole.
fine. You
Yeah,
saying it's
it's
an eight
good.
is fine.
Yeah,
I'm not discriminating. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying
yeah,
I give it a little bit of that bump just for the third one, really.
mm,
And if fourth one's great, I'm bumping it up maybe a percent.
yeah,
I
too.
might just do that just because I think for me, and the reason why I said 8.5 for me is just like three solid movies is just it's gotta be at least eight, at least an 8 or
Yeah,
8.5.
it's
Three
a
solid
because like you
movies.
said, 3 solid movies. Yeah, 3 solid movies. Great character development, following the lore of the characters,
Yep,
making the human interactions work, which is very important. It's very important,
exactly.
and not making them overshadow Sonic and them, but finding that
Pun intended.
balance. Yeah, I didn't even realize I did that, but hey, happens. It happens.
That's what happens
But
here.
yeah, I think that balance they found was really good as a whole. 8, I give it a strong 8.
No, that's good. Like I say, our discrepancy of a 0.5 is nothing. It's not like we were so far off because usually we were around the same range when it comes to these movies. We don't really venture off too much.
Yeah,
I think maybe at one time I rated it a lot lower than you on one movie that was bad. But it was expected. You knew where I was going with that movie. But um, you heard it here first. Sonic movies taking the lead, 8 to 8.5 rating.
yeah,
Easy. 8 to 8.5 rating, easy. Mario 2, you gotta step. You did great, but you need to have a good second one too. Sonic is
yeah,
putting that bar of three solid movies for Mario. I'm hoping their second
yeah.
movie is
You
great. I'm not
gotta
now.
come correct. Gotta come correct, Mario.
Also, with the rivalry between the two franchises, you gotta come with a good second
Mm-hmm.
movie because Sonic
Mm-hmm.
and Mario have a rivalry for years
Yeah,
between the fans and between the even I think the characters interacted at one point in time and were
yeah. They had a
had the
video
beef
game. Mm-hmm.
had the beef for each other. So you gotta bring your second movie gotta be good. It just
Definitely,
the expectations there. And if they do a Legend of
definitely.
Zelda, Sonic is speeding ahead
It's setting the bar. It's damn sure setting the bar.
at supersonic speed. All right,
Yeah.
pun definitely intended.
Killing the puns tonight. You're killing them.
Hey man, I'm coming. I'm coming with it. Standing on business again, like always.
On Bennett.
I'm getting it. But that being said, this has been the Square on Table podcast. You can catch us on Spreaker. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on this pretty much once a week. We show up. We grace you with some good content because you love our content. And if you liked this video, and give us a comment about what you liked from the Sonic franchise. Did you hate anything? Were there any inconsistencies or things that just didn't make you feel like it was a solid franchise? Did you like Mario more? That's perfectly fine. Mario was a solid movie too. Do you think that we're gonna see Dr. Eggman? Do you think that we're gonna see Hypersonic or any of the other Sonics that have come out in the series and stuff like that? What is your favorite? I'll ask the question. What is your favorite Sonic animated show? I know mine, but I want to see what yours is. Okay, so let us know in the
We
comment
OG
section down
over
below.
here, by the way. We
We
OG
straight
over
OG.
here.
Yeah, straight. Share the video. Hit the notification bell on the right side of the video to get notified of this video and future video, or you get notified of future videos. And follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to our Discord or whatever you do to get into Discord. And join us on Reddit. We have a subreddit. We do stuff over there. So join us. Come over to meet communities and ask your questions, talk about stuff. We would love to have communication with everybody who's following us and who's been supporting us over these few years
Yes.
that we've been doing this.
We
We
love to talk
appreciate
to y'all.
everybody. Yeah, we appreciate everybody who's supported us and has pushed us down the can. And our goal is 1,000 subscribers. We're moving quick on that. So we thank you for tuning in. With that being said, I'm your host, Dmitri.
I'm your host, Mark and Mark.
And this has been the Square Table podcast. We are out. Deuces.
Remember, make great choices.
Make great choices. We watching.